Okay, so this is a special edition of the Commissioner's Corner, and we were working at a coffee shop around the corner, so...
And where are we?
We're in beautiful La Jolla. So we actually don't have a team named after the La Jolla region, so maybe we'll have to go and change that for next season. We're in beautiful La Jolla, was working at Pete's Coffee Shop, one of my personal favorites, so if anyone wants to give me a gift card or coffee, Pete's is always top of mind. Big fan of Pete's. While we have this beautiful backdrop, we wanted to talk about the playoff primer. We've got a brand new playoff format for this season. So I'm particularly excited to see what these best of 3 series shape up to be like. The first seed getting a bye, what that dynamic looks like. We really saw quite a battle as we got toward the end of the season, those teams trying to solidify their place in the standings. But before we get to any of that, before we jump into our playoff primer, kind of wanted to recap the last 2 games of the season with you, Gabe. So the first matchup, I was really impressed with both teams with their resilience. Was anything sticking out to you? Did anything jump to the forefront of your mind for the last regular season set of games?
Well, right off the bat, the first thing that jumps to mind in that first game between the Rhinos and the Stingrays was just first how the Rhinos played with a short bench. They only had 6 skaters, yet they played as such a cohesive unit. The whole team was buzzing. They really ended up, despite having fewer legs, they controlled the pace and they controlled the overall structure of the game because of their defensive, cohesion and just the amount of flow and support that they had in the offensive zone. Something that we're typically used to seeing the Stingrays play with, at least towards the first half of the season, but something that we were going to want to see the Stingrays come back into now that it's playoff time. See if they can buckle down and really get that flow going for themselves, because they were, in my opinion, outmatched by the Rhinos, who even had a shorter bench. So it was an impressive showing by the Rhinos.
Shout out to Ryan Meltzer as well. The backup goalie for the Rhinos, was a big fan of how he played. This was his 3rd appearance, I believe, this season for Escondido. So he had a great showing, kept the minute, and to your point, I think the Rhinos were just the more energetic, cohesive, better flowing team in that game, which those were all synonymous with how the Stingrays were playing up until the last couple of games of the season. It's been a departure from their game.
Yeah, we'll see if they can find a rhythm coming into playoffs. One player just off the top of my mind that I know wasn't in the previous game against the Rhinos was Jason Efforts. He's such a smart player when it comes to flow, with movement with and without the puck. And that movement without the puck is so critical, especially if you find yourself in a rut. Being able to move cohesively without the puck, because you don't have the puck all that much. So that movement when you don't have the puck is just as critical as when you do have the puck. And Jason Efforts is one of those people who's always moving his feet in a logical and structured way to create openings, whether he does or does not have possession. So hopefully he makes it for their playoff game, and I think he's a big piece to help that cohesive puck possession game.
We've got a lot of reps with Jason, so we're familiar with his game. So he definitely helps with coordination, getting the puck out of your zone, pucks on net. I mean, he's a master at, when you're giving him space, he takes the space, and he does a lot with it. So I think they definitely missed him that last week. So moving over to the second game of that night, talking about the Pandas and the Longboarders. Reed Kinsey made an appearance for the Longboarders. I know he's missed a few games this season, and I know an earlier theme that we've touched on is when the captains are there for their teams, that's when those squads perform the best, it seems. And Reed is no exception. So Reed has been the standout player for the Longboarders. He makes an appearance, but it just wasn't enough for the Longboarders, who were also missing Dylan Woods, Anthony Mata. I think John Winchester was there. They were missing some other key pieces. So Blake Woods is in that group that was missing. What did the Pandas look like? How did they jump off the screen to you?
Absolutely, the Pandas jumped off the screen. But I would say that game, even though the score spread ended up kind of widening toward the end of the game, I thought that there was strong levels of compete from Leucadia. Yeah. I thought that they tried, they battled, and everyone on the team wants to win. you can see that from their unit. The Pandas have some lethal weapons. We all know the name Nick Olson, but especially coming off of his first Narch Pro appearance, I think that he had even maybe a little bit extra roller juice, so to speak, in his system. Obviously, he's had a fairly esteemed ice career, but the roller career is, kind of in a spot where he's now getting Narch Pro experience. He's gotten plenty of games and reps now with the Pandas in this season of EDL. So he is an absolute staple for the team. But beyond that, they've got a lot of other threats. Bailey Ridout, Captain Rory Herman, Jimmy Becker on the forecheck. They've got a lot of people who...
Guys that know how to shoot the puck.
Shoot the puck, move the puck, support the puck.
Jake Pribble, he made his third appearance this season.
So he can make the playoffs.
He does qualify.
He's eligible for playoffs. Excellent.
He is eligible.
You just keep listing it. That's a powerful team.
Yeah.
The Lucadia Longboards, I thought they played with a lot of heart.
They did.
They might not have, toe-to-toe the amount of firepower that the Pandas have, but they have the heart. They have great leadership, when the whole squad is there. Even though they're not as big as the Pandas, they play big, kind of from that lead from Reed Kinsey, who plays like a giant, gets under people's skin, is, an agitator.
Creates opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So they play big, hoping that they just bring that heart to their first game, because they'll be playing that first game this upcoming playoffs. And if they bring that heart, I think they can go on a nice little momentum run and just build from that emotional enthusiasm that they definitely have on the bench.
Excellent. I think that's a good segue. But before I make that switch, I want to give a shout out to Wyatt Beaupre. I thought Wyatt had a fantastic game. To your point, despite the point spread, despite the difference in score, it's 9-5 if I recall. Wyatt, I thought, stood up to all the firepower that the Pandas had admirably. So with the Longboarders missing some pieces on the bench, he stepped up and he accepted the challenge. I thought he played well.
Totally.
Making that jump to talking about the playoff primer. So this is the first time that we've done a best of 3 between our top seeds and the final game, which will both be a multiple game qualifier to go in and win that round. So with our first game on Saturday being the play-in, so the winner of that'll be between Cardiff and the Longboarders. Longboarders being the 4th seed, Cardiff being the 3rd seed. There was quite a bit of congestion there in the middle of the standings between Cardiff and Escondido. There could have been some leapfrogging going on, but ultimately the standings fell about where we thought they were going to fall as we got towards the latter part of the season. Do you see an upset in this first game happening? So I believe that the Longboarders should have their entire lineup there. What's your prediction for this game?
So if we're just going upset based off the current league standings, I definitely think that there could be an upset with Lucadia beating Cardiff. I think that the Lucadia team might be coming together more as a team, down the stretch. Again, a lot of that comes from that emotional resilience that they have as a club. They all want to win and they want to feed into that winning culture as a team unit. Whereas the Cardiff Stingrays, on the other hand, they, might have a slightly more individualistic approach. Things are not, going in the same trajectory, emotionally speaking, for the squad. So with those things at hand, I could see an upset at play with Lucadia winning that one.
And I think a X factor for this Lucadia team is Reed Kinsey is such a motivator. He's so good at communicating and rallying the troops to all pull the same direction. He's very good at that. So I agree with your analysis. I think there could be an upset. If there was an upset, I think this would be the game where it could occur. I think the Longboarders, they've got a shot. Switching to the other game. So whoever wins this match gets to play Escondido at 9 p.m. So there's going to be a 30-minute break, get a little bit of a rest, and to go right into that next game against Escondido. That's going to be a semifinal game. What's your prediction on that? Does the more well-rested team, do they prevail? Or is the team that is going to be hot off a win, 30-minute break, are they going to be the more well-oiled machine?
Well, we know coming into the structuring of this playoffs, we wanted there to be an incentive to be in that second spot. So it'll be interesting because they will, whoever wins that 3rd, 4th game will have momentum just from that win. but they won't necessarily be as fresh. So hopefully that balances out just from a structural standpoint. We'll have to get teams' feedback and player feedback to see ultimately how that plays out in actuality. But whoever wins that third, fourth game will have an opportunity to beat the Escondido Rhinos, and I give them a chance. But if the Escondido Rhinos play like they did in their last game coming into the playoffs, I think they're a very deadly team. And
they were buzzing.
They were really buzzing, and they were doing so with only 6 players. If they get some of their other players too, who, Billy Metcalf,
Anthony
Dykes, people who have consistently, when they've showed up,
Jack Allen,
big one.
Yep.
Who have put points on the board and have contributed on the score sheet. That'll be a really tough game for either the 3rd or 4th seed to come up against. So I think that the Rhinos have the momentum right now, would be my prediction in that 2nd place spot.
Absolutely. So with the stage essentially being set, we've got the Pandas waiting in the wings. What's your prediction for our final? Remember, people are going to be watching this, so you're absolutely going to be stepping on some toes here. So that's okay. I know I'm setting you up here. What do you think the final is? Pandas and?
I will go out and say Pandas and Escondido Rhinos.
Okay.
I will make that prediction if I'm going to be so bold. That would be my prediction for the final series.
I'm going to go with the unconventional route. I'm going to go Leucadia and Balboa in the finals. I think longboarders,
bold.
They get the upset in the play-in. They get the upset against Escondido. They're going to get their money's worth playing all the hockey they possibly can. So I think it's going to be Leucadia and Balboa in the final. I think Reed Kinsey fires the troops up. Mm-hmm. I think goaltender, whether it's Wyatt or Bryce, I think they stand on their head. I think they execute. So you've seen flashes of it this season. No time like the present to go and have it all come together.
Couldn't have said it better. If any of those games, the first round of playoffs, come into an overtime or a game-winning goal nail biter, who do you have to pot the goal for Leucadia?
For Leucadia,
well, since you're betting on Leucadia,
I'm gonna go with Mr. Personality himself, Mount Sellymore. I'm gonna go with Ray Kinsey.
Nice.
Guy loves to shoot the puck. He knows how to shoot. He puts the puck over the goal line better than most people. So I'm gonna go with Ray.
It's a great guess. And he's showed up big on the score sheet in big moments.
Yes.
So it's a good guess.
He's clutch. Mm-hmm. I think this is also a good time to transition to talking about the individual awards for the regular season as well, because Ray was a part of that conversation for the top scorer in the regular season. We also, for this season, introduced a top goaltender award. So Ray was part of, I believe, a 3-way tie for 2nd place as a top scorer. Really, Noe Santos, with 7 games played, won the top scorer award with 21 total points. So shout out to Noe. He was on vacation for a couple of weeks, so there was plenty of opportunity for other people to sweep up the leaderboard and take his spot. Didn't happen, so he hung on, and he's there at the top. So shout out to Noe Santos for winning the 2025 Summer Unify Elite Draft League Top Scorer Award. So any thoughts there? Were you surprised by the outcome with the top scorer race?
Not necessarily surprised that Noe is there at the top. The surprising factor really comes in that he played in 7 of the 10 games, and I know that some people showed up for all 10. I guess that's the biggest shocker there. But every time Noe's been in the lineup, he's been super noticeable.
Yep.
Not only scoring, but really dishing the puck too, using his speed and finding people for that cross crease pass, really setting up his whole team nicely.
He's been dynamic, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the bulk of his points came from assists. Was he putting pucks in the net? Yes, but he was also raising the level of his team at the same time. So that's tremendous work by Noe. The other player that I wanted to recognize for an individual award was Tom Holsheimer. So I thought Tom did a great job in net. He was my betting favorite to be the top goaltender this season. So a little bit of confirmation bias there.
Is that on film anywhere?
Well, we'll pull the footage,
okay.
So don't quote me on that. Anyways, I was really glad that Tom won it for them. He had the best save percentage. The criteria for that award, a little bit trickier. You had to play a minimum of 4 games playing for your team, and it was the best save percentage for goaltenders to play 4 or more games. Tom played the most games of any goaltender and still had the highest save percentage. So great job by him. He had a lot of saves. One of the metrics that we keep track of, and we ask our scorekeepers to keep careful track of this, is the number of shots that goaltenders face. So their save percentage and the saves they're making, that's all calculated. We're not doing, back of the napkin math here. So great job by Tom.
And by our scorekeepers.
And by our scorekeepers.
Staying on the ball.
The unsung heroes, if you will.
But yeah, I mean, not only is Tom just a great goal stop, but as we know, he was also just so, charming and open to doing the community service work in some of those intermission periods where we had the kiddos come out and do the breakaways. I know that if we included those hot shots in the shooting calculation,
yes,
probably wouldn't have been top goalie.
Yeah.
But no, he looked great in his game footage. He looked great as just a stand-in guy for those community-focused events. So couldn't have asked for more from him.
Gem of a human being. Shout out to Tom. Shout out to Noe. Thank you guys for playing this season.
Absolutely.
Gabe, before we go and leave this beautiful scenery here, any closing thoughts before we start the playoffs?
I hope that, I get proven right and I get proven wrong from, that people hear this and they are challenged to just bring their best game forward, not only for themselves, but also for their teams, because, it's ultimately such a team sport, and that's what differentiates hockey, I think, from all other team sports. Is you can't win as an individual. It takes a group effort. It takes winning by committee. So I hope that everyone buys into their team program, whatever it is, whether you're playing, really structured, or you're playing with tons of speed, or you're playing with, grit and physicality. I hope that everyone just buys into their team direction and they play as cohesive units with a lot of heart and with a lot of spirit, and that we just have awesome games throughout the whole playoff series.
Well said. Thank you, Gabe. All right, we'll see y'all at the rink.
Catch you there.